Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. I am your host, MagMongoSlade, and today we're going to be talking about the post-SummerSlam 2024 episode of Raw from August the 5th, 2024. A better episode of Monday Night Raw than usual. Things happened. Storylines progressed. Things felt fresh, new, different. And so we're going to get into that stuff. No need to speed through this episode because there's actually things to talk about. And we're going to start with news and notes, which we usually do. And we're only going to have one note. And that note is the discourse on the runtime of SummerSlam. A lot of people, I think the Wrestling Observer newsletter, the Crank Crowd, the IWC, the Mox, they complained that there was only like an hour or so of matches for SummerSlam compared to about almost 2 hours of ads. I think that's what they're arguing. I don't remember what the exact ratio is. I just know that I noticed it. Well, it's been this way for a while. It's been this way for a couple of years actually. Even under the Vince, it was kind of like this. It's getting worse now than it used to be, if we're being honest. But part of it is the NFL strategy. A regulation NFL football game is 60 minutes. But you never have a football game go 60 minutes. Even if you count the 20 to 30 minute halftime, the game should not be 3 hours, right? But yet every single football game, without fail, is 3 hours. How could that be? There's only 15 minutes of actual play per quarter. How can that one quarter take so long to get through? Well, because of ads. They stuff an ad anywhere they can. You call a timeout, they stuffing an ad in there. So that's what WWE does. They have a match, they go to commercial. They sometimes have the commercial in the match, which is, God, I don't see why they have to do that. So somebody has to pay for the show. And the show is supported by ad revenue. And since the show is supported by ad revenue, these people want their products to be seen. Now, the show is substantially shorter if you watch it on replay or if you're an individual who bought Peacock Premium or whatever. Then you just get video packages. You don't really get a lot of ads. You just get video packages. And the show is actually shorter if you watch it on replay. If you're watching it live, it seems like it's going on forever. And I can respect that. And plus the pre-show is, was 3 hours or whatever. But I don't count the pre-show in the runtime of SummerSlam. If you go to SummerSlam and go to the actual show, it starts with a video package, the intro, and then it goes to, I think, Jelly Roll doing his thing, and then blah, 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 right? But anybody who complains about the runtime, do they complain about the NFL having too many commercials? And I think it's a legitimate argument. It's a legitimate argument that there might be too much advertising. One of the few things I kind of agree when it comes to like socialists and communists is that sometimes advertising can go overboard. When the WWE's ring started being papered with Prime and Wingstop and Straight Talk Wireless, I'm just kind of like, oh my God, what next? It's like it is visual pollution to a degree. And we should get a break from all this advertising. We should. But if we want the products to be made and we want people to be paid fairly for their work, they got to take that revenue. And that revenue means that they got to eat up some time. That's just the cost of doing business. It sucks as a consumer, Back in the days, you used to buy a comic book or something like that. It'd be like it'd be thick with ads. Which is weird because comic books cost more now and there's almost no advertising in it. And now you're subsidizing the cost of it having no advertising. The books are thinner and they cost more. So part of it is inflation. Part of it is there's no advertising. So you could get your wrestling without advertising, but you have to pay a tax for it. Are you willing to pay more for it to get fewer ads? I think that if WWE wants to offer an ad-free show where you get no commercials at all and sell you that for 20 or 30 bucks, we'll see if people actually buy it. I don't think so though, because there was ads even in your houses, even if it was just ads for other WWE products, Ica Pro or T-shirts or whatever. It's always going to be ads. So you just gotta have to roll with the punches, man. And I don't see it as being a big deal to complain about. It gives you plenty of time to go to the bathroom, get something to eat, reset, stretch your legs. That's, you should be used to this by now. Everybody watches sports. You should be used to this. Okay, let's get into Monday Night Raw because that's what we're all here for. We're going to start with the main event. The Wyatt Six. Dexter Lumis, Joe Gacy, Eric Rowan. They're not running away from who any of these people are. They defeat, quote-unquote, American-made Chad Gable and the Creed brothers. Two factions that were just recently put together, facing each other in the main event. The crowd was hot for it. They were really, really into it. I want to pause for a second just to say American Made is a terrible name. Their theme song is also not good. What is up with these names recently, like the Pride and American Made? It's like if you go back and play, Raw versus SmackDown or whatever, and it's like a generic, the Superstar. It's like, these are generic, terrible names that tell you nothing about the characters, nothing about the people involved. Oh, the Creed brothers and Chad Gable, they're American made, are they? The other team is full of Americans too. Eric Rowan is American. Dexter Lumis is American. Aren't they American made too? What are they made of? This doesn't make any sense. It's awful. So now the Wyatt Six have to admit they were substantially less cool with the lights on. The moment they turned the lights on, they just became Dexter Lumis, Joe Gacy, and Eric Rowan. They stopped being cool characters. He had a video for Joe Gacy about him, people trying to control him, and him making people suffer for trying to control him. Well, that was interesting. He lost some weight. He was visibly thinner here. I was kind of impressed with that. Joe Gacy got himself into good shape. Dexter Lumis, he was the daredevil in this match. The guy's in his 40s. He's got to be. And he looks good. He moves pretty well. He was jumping off the top rope with leg drops and stuff. I mean, I was very impressed with the work of Dexter Lumis here. He looks a little sillier with the long hair, with the lights on. But it is what it is. You can't complain too much. They're doing their best. So the Wyatt Six win, American Made, they lose. Not much of a surprise there. Not much going on there. I guess the next question is this thing done or is this going to continue? It's hard to see why it would continue, considering the win was clean. Uncle Howdy wasn't involved, so maybe that's what Chad Gable has to lose to him now too. But it is what it is, man. The match was solid. The crowd was into it. That's the most important thing. Eric Rowan didn't screw anything up. He looked, like a giant, which was great. And Joe Gacy looked pretty good, too. And, of course, the Creed brothers. They wasn't really giving much of anything, the Creeds or Chad Gable. They basically just fodder. They went in there and got beat up, and that was pretty much it. Okie dokie. So then we go to Ilya Dragunov and Sami Zayn. Ilya Dragunov told Sami Zayn he was a champion that inspired people. Sami Zayn was thankful for that. Said that he's going to be a champion himself one day. Then Jey Uso told him to shake it off, but Sami Zayn couldn't. But then as Jay kept pushing and pushing, Sami said, well, I already know I got that rematch coming up next week. And after this, Jay Uso says, once you get your belt back, me and you are going to handle Judgment Day. And I'm going to make you a double champion. So Jay Uso is going to end up right back in tag teams. It's like he can't escape tag teams. He just cannot get out of the way of a tag team. My Lord. All right. Sixth match on the show. Sonya Deville versus Io Sky. This wasn't the first time we saw Sonya Deville this night. Sonya Deville jumped Lyra Valkyria earlier in the night. Lyra Valkyria defeated Shayna Baszler by disqualification because the League of Extraordinary Lesbians jumped her. This followed by Damage Control, who came into the ring to save Lyra Valkyria. So KC Squared, where were they? Were they on hiatus? They take some time off to take some PTO and didn't tell Lyra. She was getting her shit kicked in for a second there. So then, after Damage Control saved Lyra Valkyria, the League of Extraordinary Lesbians jumped Damage Control and stomped Dakota Kai on the leg. Her, I guess, previously injured leg. So this was supposed to be her match versus Sonya Deville. And Sonya Deville thought she wasn't going to have an opponent at all, and it turned out to be Io Sky. They had an okay match. Cool double spot by Io and Kairi jumping off the top rope at the same time. Io Sky wins with the moonsault. Things are not going well for the League of Extraordinary Lesbians. It's not going well at all. There's going to be a tag team championship number one contenders match next week, as Sonya, I think it's Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark versus Io and Kairi. So that ought to be interesting as well. The League of Extraordinary Lesbians and this Damage Control thing, I'm thinking that Dakota Kai might turn on Damage Control. It just feels like that might happen to me. And it seems like something Triple H would book. Even though I think we all have been shocked to learn that Dakota Kai is not a lesbian. Even though she probably is in a past life or something. But it's a lot of things going down. But the League of Extraordinary Lesbians is a thing. They need a real name. I feel like I'm offending them by calling them that, but who cares? Who cares what offends them? Braun Breaker had a promo. He said he's been in WWE less than 3 years. He's already a champion. So he's the hunter. He's coming for everybody, and this belt was made for him. He said his name has been bolted on it, and he dares any man to come and take his name off that belt. And let me tell you, I like this. This was good. This is a good promo from Braun Breaker, and really sets the standard for what kind of champion he's going to be. Match number 5, J.D. McDonough versus Damian Priest. Early in the night, Damian Priest came out to challenge Finn Balor. He said that Judgment Day was the first time he ever felt like he belonged somewhere, and he felt the fans grow since his documentary come out. So then he says that he can win his championship back at any time, but Finn Balor made him feel like he let the fans down. So now he's going to kick Finn Balor's ass, pretty much. He demanded for Finn Balor to come out. Finn Balor, of course, did not come out. He said that Damian Priest brought this all on himself, that Damian Priest turned on the Judgment Day. He broke his word. The Judgment Day were not supposed to have leaders. And then Damian Priest thought he was the leader. He said Damian Priest cost him the World Heavyweight Championship last year, and it took him a year to man up. Said that Damian Priest was a loser from the streets, and that he's not going to fight Damian Priest because Damian Priest doesn't deserve it. J.D. McDonough is going to fight him. And Finn Balor is just going to wait. He said he's going to wait until he's comfortable, and then he's going to stab him in the back again and again and again. And then he said he won't be alone and unveiled the new Judgment Day, which is basically just Judgment Day minus Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest plus Liv Morgan. So it's the same group plus Liv Morgan minus Damian Priest minus Rhea Ripley. The giant noggin of JD McDonough proceeds to yell at us with veins all in his face about Drew McIntyre, Damian Priest not wanting him in Judgment Day. And he says that it made him laugh when Damian Priest realized that he'd been betrayed at SummerSlam. He said the only reason Damian Priest was world champion is because they allowed it, and him personally putting his body on the line. And he says that now he is a world champion, and Damian Priest has got nothing. Damian Priest then cut a promo on JD McDonough by saying this ass whooping is a long time coming, and that nobody wanted him in the Judgment Day. Only one person wanted him in the Judgment Day, and that was the betrayer, the liar, Finn Balor, who is the one that is sending him to catch the first bullet. So they had the match, and JD McDonough is tiny, and he's got a giant head. Damian Priest no-selling his chops was pretty great. And it seemed like Priest was going to win the match, even though the match was kind of lengthy. And then all of a sudden, all of Judgment Day, Dominic, Liv Morgan, Carlito, they all just jumped in the ring and jumped Damian Priest. And then, like a great hero, Damian Priest fights off pretty much everybody by himself. And then he's overwhelmed by the numbers, and Rhea Ripley has to come out there and save him. Rhea Ripley then catches Liv Morgan as she tries to run away and slams her head against the ring post twice. It was huge pops that came from that. Absolutely massive pops came from that. She was like she was going to powerbomb Liv Morgan through the table when Dominic grabbed her and fled. That led to JD McDonough getting his ass kicked in the ring and Finn Balor escaping. This was a hot angle. Everybody liked this. This was good. Maybe it was too soon for Rhea to get her hands on Liv. She certainly hadn't gotten her hand on Dominic yet, but maybe it was too soon for her to get her hands on Liv again, to blow away some of her heat. But this worked. I think every element of this worked out okay. And so now we know that the new Judgment Day is similar, matter of fact, the same as the old Judgment Day. There are no remaining members of the original version of Judgment Day. Priest is out, Rhea is out, and Edge is in AEW on the couch somewhere with a boot on his foot. So, really unfortunate. How often is it that you see an entire faction change, including the leadership? Well, I guess you could say, even though they're supposed to be a group with no leaders. But it's okay. I think it turned out all right, personally. Okay, so the Final Testament. Oh boy, they cut a promo. Karrion Kross cut a promo saying that AOP is going to end the New Day. It has been 10 years, but all good things come to an end. It didn't have to be this way for Xavier Woods, however. He was too scared to carve out his own path the way that Kofi Kingston did. And now he's just going to be the guy that stands next to the guy. They have the tag team match, AOP versus the New Day. And of course the New Day wins because New Day must win. And I don't understand why that needed to occur. Before the match was over, however, Odyssey Jones attacked Karrion Kross, threw him against the ring post and threw him over the barricade and all this stuff. And the New Day rolls up AOP and wins. I'm like, ugh. Then Odyssey Jones watches as AOP jumps the New Day after the match, and then he gets into the ring and promptly kicks AOP's shit in, picks them both up at the same time and gives them a side slam. The crowd is damn near standing on the top of their heads. Karrion Kross comes in and gets a boss man slam for his troubles. I mean, it took them 2 years to remember that Odyssey Jones existed. And now they've pretty much thrown him into New Day. Which, of course, tells everybody that Big E ain't coming back. That's the first thing I saw when this happened. I said, well, I guess Big E ain't coming back. I guess it's over. He won't say it's over, but it's over. Odyssey Jones never had a problem with him. Always thought he was pretty cool. He didn't have enough seasoning down in NXT. but they took him off TV for 2 years, 2.5 years or whatever. This is crazy. Now, they did do something that was mildly entertaining with this. They explained that Kofi set all this whole thing up because when he was in rehab, he met Odyssey Jones and invited Odyssey Jones to look after them, to watch their back just in case this Final Testament thing kicks off. But Kofi didn't tell Xavier Woods. So when Xavier Woods sees this, he's like, oh, I didn't know you guys were friends. I didn't have any idea you guys were buddies. And he's looking perturbed, distraught. Like, you couldn't tell me? You couldn't warn me? I like that. I mean, the group is not going to break up, I don't think. But it's good tension. I think the New Day have pretty much made it clear that they'll never break up and physically attack one another. But I think having that drama there can be useful and keep it fresh. Because Kofi doesn't see any reason why it's a problem. I mean, the guy's on their side, right? So this was good. I like this. It was very impressive for Odyssey Jones. It's just unfortunate it had to happen at the expense of AOP and Karrion Kross. It's like Karrion Kross has been back for 2 years. They've been talking about this on social media. It's like his 2-year anniversary of being re-signed, and you wouldn't even be able to tell the way he had been in the exact same position since he came back. Highly unfortunate. AOP's been back, several months. They haven't done a damn thing either. Highly unfortunate. It's sad times around there. All right, speaking of sad times, here comes CM Punk. Everybody hates CM Punk. Oh my goodness. I did not have any idea that so many people hated CM Punk. I did not know how many people truly hated that match between him and Drew McIntyre until I really watched a Voices of Wrestling guy really rant and rave about this for 3 days. I didn't know it was that bad that we had to really act up for 3 days. But at the same time, if Voices of Wrestling hated it and Fightful hated it, it might not have been too bad. So in any event, people didn't like the bracelet thing. It's a stupid bracelet. Ugh. I could take time to discuss how it's always the meaning behind the thing and never the thing itself. It's like Lord of the Rings, right? Lord of the Rings is a stupid movie. It's just about a stupid ring. Okay. You're not into the lore of the ring, I guess. But other people are. And other people get it. You don't have to get it. It's okay. Everything ain't for everybody, I can tell you that. But CM Punk is out there. He's talking about being happy because 10,000 people chanting his name. He came back in 5 months when the doctor said it would be 9. And his road to WrestleMania started on Saturday. But he wants to get back in the ring with Drew McIntyre. And so he called Drew McIntyre out, but got Seth Rollins instead. Seth Rollins said it's been 10 years, but he's going to put CM Punk in the dirt. They look like they're going to fight when Drew McIntyre shows up. McIntyre still got the bracelet. Said CM Punk proved that he still got it, but he's no longer the best in the world. Drew McIntyre is. Then, after showing the bracelet one more time, CM Punk chased him up the stairs and out of the arena. He later ran into Adam Pearce, who says that Damian Priest is gone. Nowhere to be found. Can't find him. He's 6'6", muscly and beardy. Can't find him. Don't know where he went. He just evaporated in the thin air. He went outside and just vanished. He's just gone. He's gone, sir. I hate to break it to you. He's gone. So Seth Rollins is in the ring like, I was going to fight the Punker. Where did he go? And he turns around and nothing but belly and fat. Blasted him right in the face. Bronson Reed viciously attacks Seth Rollins. Splashes him 6 times with the tsunami. Got the crowd chanting one more time. After they was just singing his song, fickle crowd. They're worthless people. Bronson Reed destroys Seth Rollins, has him coughing up phlegm and red stuff. It was a great segment, fantastic segment for Bronson Reed, who was feeling disrespected and he wanted to make a statement, wanted to make an impact, and chose this as his impact to make. Considering Bronson Reed barely made it out of the mid-card, he did make it out of the mid-card without winning anything. He's 50-50 booked in the mid-card. Never won a championship of any description. And now he's beating up and absolutely damn near killing main event guys. Hey, look. Again, it took Triple H 2 years to remember he got big guys on the roster. 2 years it took him to figure this out. 2 years of small foot European dudes. And you could have been using Bronson Reed like this, and you could have been using Odyssey Jones. My goodness. He figured it out. Look, I guess as long as you figure it out, you figured it out, right? So Bronson Reed's attack was great. Seth Rollins sold it very well. No doubt they wrote him off TV for who knows how long, but it's a ready-made feud when he's ready to come back. They could continue Punk and McIntyre now that Rollins has been taken out of the picture. I don't know why they want to continue Rollins and McIntyre, except for the fact that there's still more juice in that thing. Now they're fighting for Punk to get his bracelet back. Or just the general offense of Drew McIntyre having it. It's not lost on me that this whole bracelet thing is as a kind of a callback to when Bret Hart's jacket got taken, right? You know, CM Punk loves Bret the Hitman Hart. Everybody always talks about how silly it was that Jean-Pierre Lafitte took Bret Hart's jacket. People completely forgot the story that was attached to the jacket. They just look at it, it's just a jacket, just get a new one. You can always tell those people don't subscribe anything to material possessions. It's like most of the time, it's not even about the possession itself, it's the principle of it. They try to infuse it with some kind of emotion, and it doesn't always connect. I don't think Bret Hart's jacket really resonated with the audience. But when you look at the way the people are reacting to the bracelet, I think it's a little bit more realistic. Even though it's made by what looks like a girl child, it was made by a fan who cares about him and his family. And CM Punk cares about the fans. He cares about his family. And he looks at that as a connection between him and what awaits him at home. So I'm not exactly emotionally attached to it. I could care less about it. But I get why he would care about it. Same way somebody would care about a family heirloom that you might not think is a big deal when they had to take it to the pawn shop or something like that. You have to sometimes take things and understand that the character itself is the one that prescribes the value to a thing. And sometimes you have value to things that don't make sense. You got lucky socks or lucky underwear or something stupid like that. My favorite example of possessions where you don't understand the meaning of it is the scene in Pulp Fiction where Bruce Willis's character has his father's watch. He gets his dad's watch and he goes through all this trouble just to get his dad's watch back. It's an old watch that's been shoved up somebody's ass for 20 years, but it's a memento from his father. It was his father's watch, and he was not going to leave it. And he went through all this trouble through his part of the movie, which includes somebody getting butt banged, to get his father's watch back. To him, that was important. To you, the viewer, it was just a watch. But they did a good job of setting up why the watch matters. And you can still not care about it, but you can't deny that the character itself cares about the item. And that's what I'm looking at from this situation. Punk cares about the watch, or the bracelet. So it doesn't matter what I think about the bracelet. It only matters what he thinks about it. And if he flips and all of a sudden he doesn't care about it anymore, then that's an inconsistent characterization. But as of right now, he cares intensely about this bracelet. and he wants it back. And he does not want Drew McIntyre walking around with it. And it's the principle of the thing. So I'm okay with it. I just don't want to know how far is it going to go. Because these guys, again, have been feuding for almost a year already. And I'm going to ask the question, is Punk going to wrestle McIntyre in Berlin? Is that going to be the match? Because I certainly hope not. I certainly hope it is not. At the same time, I think that it's probably going to have to be. You know, this time with a regular referee, and Punk's likely going to win. And I imagine that they're going to set up the Punk McIntyre Hell in a Cell match. I think most people see that coming, which means that McIntyre probably will have to drop the next match. So Punk McIntyre in a couple of weeks in Berlin. Punk goes over, gets his bracelet back, and then McIntyre tries to cut his head off or something like that. All right, fine. The Punk McIntyre stuff is working out. The stuff with Punk and Rollins, they're going to keep derailing Rollins until they're ready for him. Okay. All right. Sure. Whatever. I guess it's going to be a triple threat match at some point too, right? It has to be, I would imagine. All right, so Austin Theory and Grayson Waller defeat The Miz and R-Truth. The less said about this, the better. I don't even know why these guys were present. Doesn't matter. Let's go to the first match. Let's go to the opening segment. Ludwig Kaiser introduces Gunther, the new World Heavyweight Champion. Gunther calls himself greatness personified, a legend. He's above everybody in the locker room. He's going to make history as the World Heavyweight Champion. Then he's cut off by Randy Orton, which was a pretty big surprise. This is after Gunther said that nothing could take him by surprise. Randy Orton said he made a career out of taking out legends and that he didn't beat him to win the King of the Ring. His shoulders were not flat down, and Triple H knows that there needs to be a sequel. And that's why he's there. He says there needs to be a new Flair and Steamboat. And he can fill one of those roles, but can Gunther fill the other one? Then he says he's going to walk out of Berlin the world champion. Gunther recognizes that he did not beat Randy Orton clean and says that he agrees, and they shook hands. Gunther then tells Randy Orton that nothing catches him out of nowhere, and Randy Orton tells him, oh no, I want you to see it coming. And that's pretty much the end of that. And I got to tell you, I like that opening segment. I like that. I mean, Ludwig Kaiser's been gone for weeks, so they did explain where he's been. But I thought this opening segment was really strong. I think Randy Orton is a good, strong first opponent. It really kind of going to clean up that King of the Ring loss. It's a big match. It's a meaningful match. Got to ask the question of how Randy ends up on Raw. Like, how did that happen? Which is... that left me scratching my head, but at least we got a sensible reason why the match is going to occur. So, okay. So Sheamus wrestled Ludwig Kaiser, beat him with the Bro kick. Pete Dunne tried to attack Sheamus with the shillelagh and missed. I don't get it. It is what it is, I suppose. I'm not really into the Pete Dunne thing. I don't care about that. They were better off just showing the video package again of why Pete Dunne is mad at Sheamus. You know, but Sheamus is ready to beat up all the young guys who want to make a name for themselves at his expense because he ain't ready to go yet. So it was a really solid episode of Monday Night Raw. Can't complain at all about it. Yes, there were some things on it that I did not really care for, but that's always the case. What made this show better than all the other shows is that stuff happened. It seemed like the stories had finally moved forward. A constipated story moved forward, especially the Judgment Day. My God. They finally moved forward. Praise God. You know, we finally found something to do with Odyssey Jones and Bronson Reed. And Seth Rollins is wrestling somebody he hasn't wrestled 100 times before. And you're seeing new stuff happen. Good. I'm glad to see that. In closing, I did see that people review bombed SummerSlam on Cage Match. I thought that was funny. Especially since one of those Voices of Wrestling nerds actually threw a fit because Cage Match eliminated all of his votes and his comments. Oh, yeah. Take that, you dweeb. All right, like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.